Native American. Teepee, tippy, teepee is a plain India home. It is made of buffalo hide fastened around a very long wooden pole, designed in a cone shape. Teepees were very warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Some were quite large. Chickees were platform houses made of logs. The bottom floor was about 3 feet off the ground for protection from flooding and animals. The roof was slanted. Certain times of the year, people hung canvas curtains, walls, to keep out the rain and cold weather. Jill should beat you led the hull. Guramina Mahagut. Came out the revenue. When walls were not needed, the Seminole rolled up their canvas curtains and hung them from the rafters to keep them safe and dry. Lee, they hung many things from the rafters of their homes. Cooking utensils, a baby swing, perhaps a wheel. You had to keep things off the wet ground if you wanted to keep them safe. An earth lodge is a semi-subterranean building covered partially or completely with earth, best known from the Native American cultures of the Great Plains and Eastern Woodlands. Most earth lodges are circular in construction with a dome-like roof. Often with a central or slightly offset smoke hole at the apex of the dome. Earth lodges are well known from the more sedentary tribes of the plains such as Hidasta, Mandan and Arikara, but they have also been identified archaeologically among sites of the Mississippian culture in the eastern United States. Did you know that the feather war bonnets considered to be the most popular item of Native American Indian headwear in today's culture? However, the roach headdress is considerably more common. Did you know that Native American Indian clothing changed dramatically after the European settlers arrived? Read our fact sheet to find out more. Why not watch the free entertaining video and learn about Native American clothing the easy way? I didn't copy and paste that. Called moccasins, these shoes were fashioned out of tanned leather. Tribes of different regions designed different styles of moccasin and often decorated them with elaborate designs. The moccasin is the footwear style most associated with Native Americans. Buffalo. At the core of the Lakota culture is the buffalo, or Tatakan. For thousands of years, the lives of the Buffalo Nation and the Lakota people were spiritually and physically interconnected, as herds roamed free across the North American plains. This bum 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 bum. This nomadic tribe followed along as a North American buffalo, from free and as long as in always bountiful, and the plains Indians are able to remain sovereign. Buffalo were their lifeline. The Indians had sympathetic relationship with them and always honored mighty beasts for many blessings they provided. From the Arctic cold and the other means on Indian country today, yesterday, today, FI, Friday, come at me cause little, okay, all done. All around the plain, so little Lakota, the entire existence of people centered around the buffalo's epic migration across the vast plains of North America, from Canada to Mexico, the Pacific Northwest to the Appalachian Mountains. Following and being close to the buffalo was important. Permanence was not everything they owned could easily be carried by a person, dog, or horse. The portable homes, teepees, the leather or railway containers for mobile storage. The cradles specifically made for easy transport, and the ingenious travois gave them the ability to move the entire camp in one trip. The location of their camp and length of time at each site from months to a few days was almost solely determined by the location of the buffalo herd. Many American Indian tribes relied heavily on hunting for food. They hunted many different types of animals, including buffalo, deer, rabbits, and ducks. Source: the buffalo, also called bison, was an important food source for Native Americans who lived in a Great Plains region of America. Buffalo were not only a food source, but the Indians also used their hides for blankets, clothes, and for their teepees. They used many parts of the buffalo for various purposes, including the buffalo's hair for rope. The horses were brought to America by the early European explorers and settlers, drastically improved the American Indians' ability to hunt. An Indian horseback could chase down its prey as opposed to having a trap prey or sneak up on an animal. American Indians mainly used spears and bows and arrows to hunt. Native American Indians fishing for food. Fishing was a way to obtain food for those tribes that lived near rivers, lakes, and coastal areas. For example, in Ojibwe, most who lived around the Great Lakes depended heavily on fishing as a food source. Numerous methods were utilized by Native Americans to fish, including nets, spears, traps, and line of fish hooks. American Indians often used weirs to catch fish, but there were several different styles of weirs. But they all involved stretching a net across the water, with the top of a net protruding above the water, usually with sticks securing the net on both sides. Sometimes the weirs would be pulled along water, and sometimes the flow of the water would trap fish in the net. Often tribes would smoke and dry fish in order to store it for the winter. The main crops that were grown by Native Americans were corn, beans, and squash. Corn was a very important part of the diet of Native Americans. It was referred to as maize by many Native Americans. Most Americans of today are used to corn in shades of yellow, but Native Americans grew a wide variety of corn in different colors. They grew red, green, blue, and even black corn. Over the years, corn has been bred to be much sweeter than it was when Native Americans grew it. Unfortunately, it's far less healthy now than it was then. In addition to food crops, many native tribes also grew medicinal plants, cotton, and tobacco. Believe it or not, it is estimated that as much as 3/4 of the world's food today are foods that were originally cultivated by Native Americans. Totem poles serve as important illustrations of family lineage and cultural heritage of the native peoples in the islands and coastal areas of North America's Pacific Northwest, especially British Columbia, Canada, and coastal areas of Washington and southeastern Alaska in the United States. Families of traditional carvers come from the Haida, Kling, Tisnafan, Quagga, Wagalaga, Quakikult, Nuxala, Pelakula, and Nuchachulta Nutaka, among others. The poles are typically carved from the highly rock-restrained trunks of Tula pitcher trees, popularly known as giant cheddar or western red cheddar, which eventually decay in the most rainy climate of the coastal Pacific Northwest because of the region's climate and the nature of the materials used to make the poles. Few examples carved before 1900 remain. Noteworthy examples, some dating as far back as the 1880s, include these as the Royal British Columbia Museum in Victoria and the Museum of Anthropology at UBC in Vancouver. Totem poles are the largest but not the only objects the coastal Pacific Northwest natives use to depict spiritual weapons. Family legends guard beings and control important animals. People are historical events, the freestanding poles seen by the region's first European explorers were likely preceded by a long history of decorative carving. Stylistic features of these poles were borrowed from earlier, smaller prototypes or from the interior support hosts of the house beams. Although 18th century accounts of European explorers travelled along the coasts indicate that decorated interior and exterior houseboats existed prior to 1800s. The posts were smaller and fewer in number than in subsequent decades. Prior to 19th century, the lack of efficient carving tools, along with the sufficient wealth and leisure time to devote the craft, delayed the development of elaborately carved freestanding poles. Before iron and steel arrived in an area, natives used poles made of stone shells or beaver teeth for carving. Totem poles represent stories or important events on these poles. Each figure on the totem represents part of the story. These totems are used as a way to record their history and legends of the tribes. Colours used to paint totem poles were limited. Artists relied on natural pigments. Black was the most common, made by grinding soot, graphite or charcoal. Red came from red orch, a clay-like material. Blue-green was made from copper sulfide. The very use of the word art suggests one of the basic differences between European derived on American Indian concepts. For not only did few Indians allow art to become a major way of life, as in the West, but many Native American languages even lack of term meaning art or artist. If one wished to refer to a beautiful basket or well-carved sculpture, it was usually necessary to rely upon such terms as well-known, effective, or perhaps powerful person, who was simply better at the job than was another. Generally, artists were accorded special significance only where wealth was a major factor, in commonly by having attained a high religious office. Supported groups of artists who produced memorial and religious art. Although Indian people may not have considered artistic skill in terms of vocation, the difference between a well-woven basket and a careless piece of work or a particularly well-designed carving and a crudely made example did not go unnoticed. Sitting Bull, Indian name Tatanka Loitok, born in 1831 near Grand River, Dakota, territory now in South Dakota, U.S. Died December 15, 1890, on the Grand River in South Dakota. Teton Dakota, an Indian chief under whom the Sioux tribe united in their struggle for survival on the North American Great Plains. The end.